Welcome to Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD. Get ready to get inspired by the stories of overcoming life's challenges to bring change and transformation. Here's Dr. Diane.
Hi, I'm Dr. Diane Clark, and I am back with you this week. We're still dealing with the church and the mental health space. Today, we're going to be talking about the suicide rate among teens. We ask you if you would comment or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dr. Diane Clark, or leave a comment in Facebook and connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn. We would appreciate that. So glad to be with you and to be bringing this information to you and bringing awareness of what's going on in our community. There's so many things that need to be addressed and not overlooked anymore, but to be brought to the forefront so that we can really apply ourselves to what is going on in our community. My co-host is not with us today. He is on assignment, but we bless him and we honor him. My guest today is a very special guest who's doing a lot of work in the Duval County community with teens, sickle cell, and suicide. And I want to introduce to you and bring on screen with me Selena Webster Bass.
Hi, Dr. Clark.
Hi,
How
Selena.
are you?
I'm well. It's so good to be on with you today. I know that you're
Absolutely.
very informed about the topic that we're working on, and I really want to get this information out to the community. And also, I want you to know there's a free ebook for this section. If you go to my website and click free ebook, it's called Breaking the Silence. You'll be blessed by having this information after the broadcast to continue about teen suicide. Selena, why don't you introduce yourself and tell get the people what you're doing in the city with your programs and what you're working on in Voices Institute.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark. It is indeed a pleasure to be in your presence once again. It's always a delight to be on your show because you're about really impacting the community in a meaningful way. And so I am the Reverend Dr. Selena Webster Bass. I am the founder and CEO of the Voices Institute. And we are a training, consulting, research group focused on improving the health and well-being of specifically communities of color, but all people who are living in our communities that are marginalized. And so our work involves mental health. Our work involves training professionals around cultural competency and health equity. And so one of the committees that I lead, or work groups that I lead, is called the Population Health Consortium, Teen Suicide, Black Teen Suicide Prevention and Youth Mental Wellbeing. And so our goal is really about supporting our young people because they need our presence more than they need our presence. So they need us to be in their lives. They need to be supported. They need to know that they're loved, that they have value, that they have worth. And so our committee is out in the community educating young people about where to go if you feel overwhelmed, where to go if you feel trapped, where do you go when you feel grief, where do you go when you've experienced neglect, or when you're in a home situation where you are being abused. And so our work is important work because we want our children and we want our families to be healthy and whole. So I'm really excited about the work that we're doing in the community.
It's so important because I don't think parents are really aware of the stress, the pressure, the things that children with that we did not deal with in our previous generation. And it's impacting them in a way that there needs to be intervention. But because things have been normalized with behavior and they're expected to be that way because they're a teen, they're not getting the help and the support that they need to make changes. Just recently, I think 2 days now, a young lady committed suicide because it was on the news. It happened in New Jersey. She killed herself. And the family was not aware. They didn't know that she was being stressed out in that way. And the only way she saw to get out was to commit suicide. Let's talk about some of the things that are happening around about and maybe give some ways that we can start intervention we need to do to address this issue among our teens.
Yeah, so we've seen lots of national news coverage of, recent suicides, and particularly in the African American community, this was not a health issue for us of concern, many, many decades ago. But in the most recent decade, we have seen the suicide rates increase in Black children and adolescents. So that doesn't mean that, the suicide rate is not highest in whites and Native Americans, because that is the group that has the highest rate. But we are seeing exponential growth in terms of African American youth dying by suicide. So there was a study that was conducted in May 2021 that showed that suicide rates of Black males between the ages of 15 to 24 years rose by 47%. And for females, it rose by 60%, 59%. So we're seeing exponential growth in the number of young people who are taking their lives. And so there is the perception that the situations that they're in are not temporary. They see them as permanent. And many of these issues are connected to social media, to bullying, to comparing oneself with others that are on social media, right? So when we were in school, you had a conflict on the playground, and then it was over, right? But now there's an audience, right? When someone is bullied. So it's really challenging for young people now. They're facing stressors that we did not face when we were in school. And we certainly cannot forget the impact of the pandemic. We've had over 1 million people die by COVID-19. And so that's somebody's mama, that's somebody's daddy, auntie, grandma. And so many of those that have died are disproportionately people of color. And so we have lots of children that are grieving right now. And so just recently here in Jacksonville, we conducted a focus group with young people with the Boys and Girls Club. And they told us that they were experiencing grief. We asked them what their top stressors were. They said grief and loss. They said community trauma, like all of the shootings that are happening in our communities, issues around family dysfunction. So parents going through a divorce, or family member that's living with some type of mental illness. It's impact not only that individual, that caregiver, but also impacting the children as well. So one of the important things, as you mentioned, Dr. Clark, is intervention. So what do in terms of addressing this issue? And I think one of the first things is really knowing what some of the signs and symptoms are of suicide and of depression, right? Which is one of the risk factors for suicide is living with depression. So you may see changes in certain habits, like withdrawal from family members, withdrawal from friends, not enjoying things that the kids used to enjoy. Like they enjoyed being in the band, they enjoyed going with friends, and now they're just locked in their rooms on social media, or just in from their loved ones, from their friends, from society. So these are things that we should pay attention to, and not just say, oh, well, they're just moody, or, oh, well, they just, they're just going through adolescence. It's important that we ask them, what's happening with you? I've noticed this. This is different for you. Is there something that you want to talk to me about? Is there something that you want to share with me? How can I support you right now? These are the questions that we should be asking, our children, and not only our children, but our extended family as well, right? Because a lot of times, young people don't want to talk to their parents, but they may talk to an auntie, or talk to a teacher, or talk to their faith leader, or their pastor, or their youth pastor. So we want to not be afraid to ask questions. Other changes include posting messages on social media, like wanting to hurt themselves, or feeling trapped, or if you see alcohol use or drug use. Any of these things should be an alarm that something's not right, and that we need to intervene in some way, whether that's connecting them with a mental health counselor, or connecting them with a therapist, psychiatrist, depending on the severity of the situation, but tapping into those mental health resources that are here in our community. And certainly, Dr. Clark, as both of us being women of faith, certainly we want to pray. So, we can't just leave everything up to science and medicine, but we believe in the power of God. And so spirituality can be integrated as well with clinical practice as well. So we are in agreement on that.
Yeah. And Selena, we actually have a group. It's led by Mrs. Lisa Towns, that has obtained a petition to try and get prayer back in school. And I was suggesting to her to gather some of the statistics of crime and where it was when prayer was in the school, as versus prayer being taken out of the school, because I really believe that prayer did make a difference, because that was an extension of the environment at home and the extension of environment in your church community. Started as not being with your education, we still don't know how that impacted the students. It was just done. They had to deal with it and move on. And if there was really no prayer connection in the home anyway, then the children still did not have that blessing of prayer that increases your mental fortitude. It works with your faith, your confidence, your ability to move forward in things. And when you take that away, then I'm left with the confines of my own mental capacity and my own level of development. And if I have arrested development, then I am entering life already with a deficit. So I do think prayer is very important. I do think the whole world needs to get back to some form of prayer, so that there is a dedication or a conviction that guides your life from the word of God, whatever religion you believe in. But I believe in the one true God. And I've seen so many results out of my life over 6 decades of God moving and performing wondrous acts in my life that I can testify about. And I believe if we up the prayer for our children, and particularly I'm really that transition between middle school and high school, right in there, because the thought is, if I can get to high school, I'm almost grown. And when I get grown, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm being raised by TikTok and Facebook. So I have all the inside information of things that I want to do. So whatever, what do you call it? Things that the rules and the family and strategy for the family. This is how we're going to live. This is how we're going to move. If that's not in place, then I'm left to believe the people that I in a place of authority, because at least they have money At least they have an opportunity to do this fantastic show and demonstrate their lifestyle. And if I'm not seeing that around me and not able to differentiate between reality and what's being purported as reality, then I'm lost. And it's very easy for me to feel like there's no way out when I'm looking at this, and what I see in my own life is so very different.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You recently had an event in June because there's a new 3-digit suicide prevention line, the 988 number. And so we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club in developing, implementing, and evaluating this youth event. And the event was planned. And so that focus group that I mentioned earlier was really to get an understanding of mental health through the lens of young people, because really it's important that we work in a way where we're family driven, youth guided, and culturally responsive. And so they told us, they said, hey, we want an event where we can integrate the arts. We want music. We want sessions with speakers who are realistic, speakers who really understand what we're going through, people who are authentic, people who are real. And so we sought folks out. We brought in therapists and psychologists of. We had an amazing panel, several systems partners from Baptist Health to Center for Children's Rights, Partnership for Child Health, several different agencies set up tables so that young people could know directly where to go for mental health services. And that was one of the things that came out of that focus group, that they said, hey, I think I can get services at school, but beyond school, I really know what to do. So we amplify that message of the 988 number, and also of, hey, these are the people and these are the organizations and agencies that are available to you to support you when you're going through a time. So we got a lot of news coverage across stations, 89 National Public Radio. And so it was really an amazing day. They even told us they wanted Chick-fil-A, and the Chick-fil-A in Arlington gave us 50% off on their meal. So they told us everything they wanted for that day, and it was truly a success. And we talked about a lot of practical things like getting moving, get moving, like exercising, and how certain hormones are released that increase our mental positive mental well-being. And so we did some African dancing, and we some Zumba with one of the dance instructors from Douglas Anderson School. So it was really an amazing and transformational day, and so we're on doing more events like that in our community to bring awareness to teen suicide prevention.
Wow. So, Lena, are we able to get into the local Duval County schools?
So actually,
to
DCPS is one of our
bring
partners.
event, invited the children to come, but is it possible that an addendum could be done? Maybe, how we used to meet in the cafeteria and have a session? Is it with information to our Duval County school system?
Yes. So Katrina
Is that
Taylor is the
allowed,
director.
or?
Yeah. So Katrina Taylor, she's of our work group, our Nation Health Consortium, Black Teens Suicide Prevention and Youth Mental Wellbeing. She's part of our work group. And so every year she puts on an amazing mental health for the high schools here in Duval County. And so I've been a part of those sessions. In fact, I plan to be part of the sessions again this year. Usually it's held either in April or May, very close to Mental Health Awareness Month is in May. And so they're doing youth mental health first aid. They're doing mindfulness moments during the day, this conference. And they're also working with other systems partners in terms of bringing greater awareness to teen suicide prevention.
That's very powerful to hear. What avenues are you using to get this information out to people? Because there has to become some type of parental, how are we informing the parents and connecting them to the information?
Yes, so we're definitely using social media, book, Instagram. We're also working currently, our work group is working on a PSA, a public service announcement. So that's our newest project. And we are partnering with the DJD's Marvelous Light Foundation. It's a local nonprofit organization that highlights teen suicide prevention. The founder, Ms. Cheryl Dees, and her husband, Darnell Dees, lost her son to to suicide. He was a bold student, an amazing young man. And so continuing his legacy and making meaning out of the loss by educating the community. And so they are partnering with Partnership for Child Health, our work group, Lutheran Services of Florida, because they were part of our 988 event. And so we had some funding left over. And yeah, with them on putting this public service announcement together, bring a greater awareness to teen suicide prevention.
Wow. I can almost envision getting the TIA bank feel and just having a big city conglomerate making awareness using your group, even about the 988 number. There are a lot of people don't know that there's a 3-digit number that they can use, especially if they're feeling like there's just no hope and I want to give up. I don't really have anybody to really talk to. I say what I'm expected to say. I do what I'm expected to do. And outside of that, I'm not really getting that outlet. But just visionary wise, wouldn't it be great if we could get that feel and just bust the children into those activities and talk to them on a greater expanded level, and perhaps parents would come and participate and be aware. We need to be aware of looking for systems, symptoms with the children. We think it's just normal for them to be on their phones all the time and locked away from conversation. Most of them cannot have an intelligent conversation because they're so used to looking at TikTok or just using social media. And so their conversation skills are diminishing, but there are things pent inside of them that they need to talk about. What are some of the behavioral health systems that is set up that they can participate with?
Yeah, so there are several agencies here in the city. There's Daniel Kids, there's Guidance Center, there's Northwest Behavioral Health Center, there are Children's Home Society. There are several agencies, and then there are also private clinicians. Dr. Tony has worked with us on several of our events, and he specializes in specifically Black males. He's a Black male therapist, and so his emphasis is on working with African American boys and adult males. He sees everybody, but that is his area of expertise. And so, so if they can reach out to me at selena@voicesinst.org, and I can direct them to various partners. Yeah, so I do want to invite folks to become a part of our work. Right now, we have a lot of systems partners, from UF Health, from Baptist Health, and that's amazing. But we all caregivers to be a part. We'd like for young people to be a part as well. So we invite you to be a part of our work group. Our goal is to increase awareness, to develop strategies in terms of early identification of folks who may be depressed or thinking about having suicidal ideation. And also we compile articles and resources and create various media tools that can be used to bring awareness and to educate the community around teen suicide prevention.
That is a great work that you all are doing. I really celebrate the fact that you're getting the information out to the people who need it the most. And I have a passion for our churches to really upgrade in their services that they have to present to the congregation. The Duval County School Board is having a session where they want to partner pastors and principals, I think is the name of it, partnering pastors and principals together so that churches are becoming more involved with what's going on in the educational system by working closely with a principal, being there to strengthen them or help them in whatever areas may be needed. It would be a great thing if we could get this information that you're giving, it may be in a written form, that when I go to that breakfast, that I can bring those handouts. And that would be an excellent way to connect pastors and principals to the dilemma that's happening around us. And now we have a way to address it. We don't have to just sit back and hope that things change. We actually have some materials. We have people who are trained that can help us walk through these situations, because it happened to your friend, but it could be any one of us. Our children are subjugated to. Tell them where they can become partners with what you're doing. A lot of interested people contact. If you would give them that information, how they can get in touch and talk with them about what they can bring to the group and how they can expand this awareness so that we don't lose any more of our children to suicide. We don't want to lose them to drive-by shootings. We don't want to lose them at all to unsensible death. So I think what you all are doing, it needs to be complimented. It needs to be supported. So I invite those of you who are in the listening audience that you would take note of this information, how to reach Reverend Dr. Bass and the group that's working with suicide prevention. And especially, I would like you to give the connection for the doctor that's working with the Black male, because there's really a big deficit, Black hole, when it comes to servicing the African male, because they need somebody to talk to that looks like them.
Yes, absolutely.
That they feel would understand where they are. So if you would give that information before we go off the air, I really would appreciate it.
Yes, and I do want to mention that our suicide prevention group meets every third Tuesday of the month virtually. So you can just jump right on Zoom and be a part of us. And in fact, Miss Cheryl Dees is our speaker for our next. So she'll be talking about with DJ and the work that she's doing in the community. So we will be sending out a flyer, and I'll share that with you, Dr. Clark, so that we can invite others to be there. We're also going to be talking about our PSA and what that should look like, but we really want the young people to drive that because they know what resonates with them most. We over 50 now, so we think we know, but we really don't know. Yes,
we're out of touch. Yeah.
Yes. And so that name is Tony Baker. His real name is Merlin Baker. Call him Tony Baker. And his email is mbaker@mtbtherapist.com. Mbaker, that's M as in money, at mtbtherapist.com. So that is the email for Therapist Baker. And so he has worked on projects from sickle cell. He was one of our panelists at the 9AA event. And he has a way of connecting because he also knows the hip hop community very well. So he knows how to speak their lingo and knows how to connect in a meaningful way. So I do encourage folks to reach out to him. He is an amazing mental health counselor and a community advocate. So we appreciate all that he does in the community.
I think that's great. And thank you for that contact information. And don't forget, Selena gave you her email so that you can contact her about any of the information that we covered on the broadcast this evening. At voicesinst.org, right?
Yes, and that's
Voices,
Selena with two E's, Selena at voicesinst.org. You got it exactly right.
Okay, so get involved. Don't just be a bystander. Don't just be a fly on the wall. Get involved and let's change the trajectory back to one of academic achievement and moving forward in life. Let's help our children take life on and be the success that they were intended to be in life.
Amen.
Thank you once again, Dr. Bass. We thank you, and we want you to know we appreciate the work that you're doing in our community and working with other organizations to create a consort of words, a consort, a medium of information to help the community. Thank you, and we look forward to having you back
Thank
on
you
the
so
broadcast
much.
because we're going to introduce the conversation to a mother that recently lost her son to suicide. I
Yes.
know you want to hear that, so stay tuned for that coming up very soon. Also, remember
Yes.
there's an ebook, it's completely free that you can download from the website and also from this broadcast on Facebook. It will be available for you that will refresh your memory of the information that we covered on this evening. We want to say a great God bless you, and we hope
Thank
that you're
you.
spreading the word about Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Clark, co-host Dr. Derek Mercer. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith Clark, PhD, helping to bring change and transformation in the mental health space within the church community. Dr. Diane wants to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, guest recommendations, or program topic ideas, visit DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Dr. Diane also appreciates your prayers and your financial support. You can give online at DianeUnplugged.com and select Donate. If your business or ministry organization is interested in sponsoring this program, you can go to DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Unplugged Live is on all the social media platforms. Just search Dr. Diane Smith Clark, follow, and subscribe. Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith Clark, PhD. Healthy mind, wealthy life.